We live in a world that distracts us. We live in a world that even if we believe in this somewhere here, right? But it becomes very difficult to live that with all the distractions that we have. We tend to run after things of this life and become distracted from our ultimate purpose. And so I want to bring back that reminder of how is it that we can fulfill this purpose of our creation and reconnect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The first is we have to love Allah most. There is this principle that governs human nature, right? And it goes like this. You become a slave to whatever you love most. Simple, yeah? You become a slave to whatever you love most. Every single human being has a master. Whether that person believes in God or they don't. Everyone has a master. Everyone has something that they enslave themselves to. Now the question is, what is your master? Now remember, everyone has a master. An atheist, an agnostic, a Christian, a Jew, a Muslim, everyone has a master. But what's your master? And the answer is whatever you love most. So how does that work? Well, if you're a person who loves money most, guess who your master is? Anyone? Money. You're a slave to money. If you're a person who loves power most, then guess what you're a slave to? Power. In other words, you will do anything to get more money, or you will do anything to get more power. If you're a person who loves appearing a certain way in front of people, if you're a person who loves image most, if you're a person obsessed with this concept of what are people gonna say? What are people gonna think? Then you're a slave to what people think. You're actually a slave to what other people say. That is your master. So how does that look like? It looks like you'll do anything and not do anything based on what people are gonna say. What people are gonna think. You're a slave. So remember this, you will always be a slave to whatever you love most. And that is why you have to be very careful what you love most. It's a simple concept, but it's extremely important. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَتَّخِذُ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ أَنْدَادًا يُحِبُّونَهُمْ كَحُبِّ اللَّهِ. That there are from among people those who take rivals with Allah. Now when you think about shirk, typically when we think shirk, we think praying to an idol, right? Or saying that God is three or has a son. This is shirk for sure. But in this ayah, it's talking about a different type of rivalry that we take with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. يُحِبُّونَهُمْ كَحُبِّ اللَّهِ. They love them as they should only love Allah. So Allah is telling us that there are people who take rivals with Allah. How? Not because they're praying to another idol, not because they're taking something else and making dua to it, but because they love those rivals as they should only love Allah. So it is a rivalry in love. Be careful what you love most. Make sure that you love Allah most. More than your money, more than your career, more than your family, more than power, more than what other people think. That it is not about what other people are going to say or what other people are going to think or what does society say, but what's most important to you is what does Allah say? So this is love. And remember, you will always obey what you love most. Sami'na wa ata'na. You know someone you love says jump, what's your answer? How high? That's how it works. That's just how love works. Loving Allah most. Number 2, remember Allah a lot. Dhikr. Here's the thing about remembrance. When you remember something a lot, it becomes bigger and more important to you. And when you forget about it, its significance diminishes. Remember Allah a lot. Dhikran kathira. So what we have to realize is that dhikr is the oxygen of our hearts. It's what keeps our hearts alive. The salah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded the salah, and we're told that it's the first thing you're asked about on the Day of Judgment. See, there's this amazing thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually gives us a snapshot of the future, of what's going to happen on the Day of Judgment. And in one of these snapshots, Allah tells us that the people of hellfire are going to have, we have a snapshot of their conversations. And people asking them, what entered you into hellfire? And we have their answer told to us by our Creator. And the very first thing that they say is, Lam nakun min al-musallin. We were not among those who prayed. It's very simple, really. That what entered us into hellfire is we were not among those who prayed. Second is the adhkar. Now the morning, you need to do your morning adhkar. And there's a lot of morning adhkar. The Prophet ﷺ had a lot of du'as, he said. You don't have to do all of them. Please understand, it's not all or none. Our deen is not all or none. So you take a portion, but you be consistent. The Prophet ﷺ said that Allah loves the actions that are consistent, even if they're small. And that's how it works in the physical world, right? If you're going to exercise, but you're going to be consistent, you're going to be better than someone who exercises a lot but is inconsistent, right? So that's number 2. Number 3 in this dhikr practice, this dhikr prescription, is the Quran, is keeping a daily relationship with the Quran and trying to not just read it, but to understand it and to apply it, even if it's a small amount.